Coming up in the news, the Minister of National Security on his first official tour on Grand Bahama. Also, it's the first day of full face-to-face classes here on the island. And a boating accident also under investigations over on the island of Abaco. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shoshana Wolfarkas, and as always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the Minister for National Security, Wayne Munro, and the Commissioner of Police, Paul Roll, on Grand Bahama touring the local police stations. The Royal Bahamas Police Force delegation also paying a courtesy call to the Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie.
Welcome to Grand Bahama, Minister. Happy to have you here with us.
The Minister for Grand Bahama, Ginger Moxie, welcoming the Minister for National Security, Wayne Munro, on his first official visit to Grand Bahama in this capacity.
I now see why the Commissioner booked me to come here with the PS and the DPS, because I know at the cabinet table you're always fighting for Grand Bahama and everything. You asked for Grand Bahama, and so we see that there are some issues.
The minister also touring the Gerald Bartlett complex and the Lokaya police station, where he was apprised of the daily report. Outlining some of the challenges on Grand Bahama, Munro says they are seeking to address the police stations that have been without air-conditioned units, in some cases for years.
A 20, 30-year-old unit, you'll be bound to have problems over and over again. It will not be economic to do so, and the prudent thing to do would be to replace it.
The Commissioner of Police, Paul Roll, also on Grand Bahama. He says additional new recruits are also expected for the island. He also had an opportunity to tour the police training college and had a few words to say.
I have another 40 that's starting to come here to be trained. The ones now, most of them, we have a group from Turks and Caicos. We have 20 for Grand Bahama, and there are now 20 fire officers that are on there that should have came in last Sunday.
And there has been issues with transportation for police officers since the passage of Hurricane Dorian.
The issue we've been having was sourcing. If you go on all of the auto dealerships in New Providence right now, empty. But I took, I ain't take possession yet, but I have 50 vehicles right now on the, I think it's Sandpin Motors. We just got the insurance for those on Friday, and they'll be licensing those, and you're going to have some of those coming here.
A lack of fire equipment on Grand Bahama has also been a long-standing issue. The police chief says that those cries have been heard.
Send us a nice ladder truck, 130-foot ladder truck that you're going to be getting here in another couple of weeks. It's on the way to Nassau now, and we're going to be doing some training with our officers first, and we'll get that spiff up and get it down here to you.
Minister Moxie says her ministry will continue to partner with the Royal Bahamas Police Force.
And will continue to do that through our new unit called Collaboration, where we partner to get things done in the community and bring relief to those in need.
Well, a pilot from Jupiter, Florida, and his passenger escaped serious injuries when their aircraft crashed about 1 mile away from the Treasure Key Airport on Sunday. Police say the duo had just taken off from the airport in Abaco on board a white Piper Aztec twin-engine aircraft when the plane began to experience left engine failure. Reports say the plane began losing power, resulting in a crash landing in the forest. The pilot and passenger sustained minor injuries and were later assisted and taken to the Cooperstown Clinic for medical attention. Investigations are ongoing. Meantime, a boating accident also under investigation on the island of Abaco. Police say initial reports reveal that around 8 p.m. on Sunday, a white 18-feet Boston whaler vessel crashed into rocks on Foots Key, which was occupied by 2 adult Caucasian males. Now, reports say both males were ejected from the vessel upon impact. The captain received serious injuries and was transported to the Marsh Harbor Clinic and later airlifted to New Providence to seek medical attention. The other male was not injured and investigations are ongoing. Switching gears, it's face-to-face from this time on for schools in Grand Bahama. The decision coming following consultation with health officials. Our ZNS News team visiting several learning institutions on this northern island. And as we hear in this report, education officials are all excited to have students back on campus. Ramiko Knowles reports.
The day for all students in Grand Bahama to return to the classroom for in-person learning is here. It will be the model used going forward, which is a good sign for education. At Hugh Campbell Primary School, cars lined the streets as parents dropped their kids off. One parent gave his child a thumbs up as she walked onto the school's campus. At the Walter Parker Primary School, the future leaders were in their books, fully engaged in the lesson. Principal Romelda Bean says it is their second week of having all the students return for face-to-face instruction and notes that the teachers were eager to get the students back on campus.
Many of our students were falling behind simply because they weren't in the face-to-face modality, and as soon as they came back, we put our foot to the ground to get them ready to where they need to be. Our grade 1s and grade 2s, of course, need a whole lot more work simply because they weren't face-to-face with their teachers to teach them how to hold a pencil, how to write, and so forth. So all of that we're working on right now.
And as for the upper primary students,
they were doing well in terms of virtual classes, but face-to-face will give the teachers themselves a little bit more. They would be more comfortable in terms of teaching the children, and I think that's why we wanted to come back fully face-to-face.
It's also fully face-to-face for high schools on the island. Over at the Jack Haywood High School, Vice Principal Janice Pinder says some parents are now registering their children for school.
We still have students coming in to register, more so the grade 10 students. I don't know why, but there are still, I think we took in about 10 new students since we came back for hybrid. I think that I don't know if maybe some students relocated, during the whole virtual period. Some parents relocated and took the students. So what we have to do is every day we have to take a student attendance count.
Pinder adds that some students who have never logged on to the virtual learning platform have returned for face-to-face learning. She says that teachers are working to help those students with the assignments they've missed.
The ministry used some strategy to say, okay, we're going to continue term 1, I guess because we know that there were a lot of students who weren't logging on. So now that they're face-to-face, we're still in term 1 and they can get grades up until time for term 1 to end so that they can have grades to go towards their report card.
Now, while most schools on Grand Bahama have returned to in-person instruction, here at the Jack Haywood Junior High School, they will remain in the hybrid model, according to Principal Joyanne Penniman.
We are still in the hybrid model because of the dynamics of the school. When we adhere to the safety protocols with 3 feet spacing in the classroom, we're only able to accommodate 20 students per room. And with the population, that allows us to host 2 grade levels on the campus at a time.
The principal says virtually only 50% of the student population were logging on, which is not good. She believes the hybrid model works best for the school.
The virtual platform posed some challenges, and that is because of the socio-economic situation in Grand Bahama. There were some students who didn't have any devices, some of them no power. They were just living in some unsavory situations. So we're happy that they're having some face-to-face contact time.
Ramiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness issuing a statement on the adjustment in the COVID-19 health protocols effective, which took past this Sunday. Ramiko Knowles has more in this report.
A church or place of religious instruction or worship may conduct services including a wedding or a funeral in accordance with the protocols issued or approved by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. A church or place of religious instruction or worship on an island listed in the second schedule, Grand Bahama and New Providence, may conduct services provided that attendance is limited to 50% of the occupancy of the facility where the service is being conducted. The applicable protocols issued or approved by the Ministry of Health and Wellness in respect of that church or place of religious instruction or worship is adhered to. Funeral services may now be conducted in the church or place of religious activity with the casket or urn present, provided that all COVID-19 protocols and any protocols issued or approved by the Ministry of Health and Wellness are observed. A funeral service may be held at a graveside, provided that all attendees and officiants adhere to the COVID-19 protocols and any protocols issued or approved by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Indoor group exercise is permitted, subject to Rule 94A of the Health Services COVID-19 General Rules 2021, provided that the group is limited to not more than 30 people. Restaurants must ensure that all patrons are fully vaccinated or have a valid negative rapid antigen test result. The maximum seating shall be 75% of the seating capacity. Restaurants are required to ensure that all patrons observe mask-wearing protocols as outlined by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Social gatherings may be held or attended indoors, provided that they are held at a private residence with not more than 40 people. Social gatherings may be held or attended at a facility, provided that all attendees are either fully vaccinated or present a negative COVID-19 test result and all COVID-19 protocols are adhered to. Social gatherings may be held outdoors with not more than 100 people, provided that all attendees are either fully vaccinated or present a negative COVID-19 test and all COVID-19 protocols are adhered to. The public is reminded that large gathering events remain prohibited at this time. Anyone who hosts or attends a social gathering contrary to the above rules commits an offense and is liable upon summary conviction in the case of a host to a fine not exceeding $2,000 and to a fine not exceeding $3,000 for each person in attendance, and in the case of an attendee to a fine not exceeding $300. As for travel requirements, anyone entering the Bahamas or traveling inter-island from Grand Bahama and New Providence is required to undergo a rapid antigen test on the 5th day after arrival and submit the result to the Ministry of Health and Wellness via its travel health website, travel.gov.bs. Anyone who is out to sea on the second day of his stay is required to undergo a rapid antigen test at the first port of call thereafter and submit the results to the Ministry of Health and Wellness via its travel health website, travel.gov.bs. Where the rapid antigen test indicates a positive result, that person shall be required to undergo an RT-PCR test and submit to mandatory isolation in accordance with the rules. Anyone who fails to undergo a COVID-19 test in accordance with the rules is liable to a fine not exceeding $1,000 or to a term not exceeding 1 month's imprisonment. Ramiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
The Aircraft Owners Pilots Association, based in the U.S., is viewed as an influential group with disposable income. The group of private pilots fly to various destinations throughout the year. And this past Saturday, Grand Bahama welcomed the vice president of the group, Richard McSpadden, who says he was elated to make his inaugural trip to the island.
Because these are my two friends, and Valerie is Skyline Baron pilot on Instagram, very well known about her Baron flying, and I've been wanting to fly her Baron with her for quite a while. And I was in the neighborhood and we said, hey, let's go to the Bahamas because it's so beautiful here, the weather's great, and I haven't been here in quite a while, and so we jumped in an airplane and came over.
It is Richard's first time in Freeport, and we want to make sure that he sees, how beautiful this island is, Grand Bahamas, and just like areas that we really enjoy, and share that with Richard.
On our social media platforms, there's many hundreds of thousands of people that watch, and we like to show those people also what the islands have to offer.
McSpadden highlighting the role of the AOPA that primarily advocates for general aviation, mainly in the United States.
The Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, as I mentioned, we protect general aviation, we grow it, and we try to keep it safe. So some of our initiatives are, we try to really, in growing general aviation, we move into high schools, and we have high school curriculum that has kids at an early age get interested in aviation for a career, because there's never been a better time to be in general aviation. It's just exploding all across our country and really in some places the world. So we want to see that grow even more. We have flying clubs that we help people get into. We have Rusty pilot programs that help pilots get into flying. And then we're the largest advocate, lobbying agency for general aviation in the world. And we do a lot of just protecting general aviation from some of the things that could limit that freedom to fly.
Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.